everyone. My name is Dr. Deepika and I'm from MBA department. So today the topic of the lecture is long-term sources of finance. So we're going to talk about all the long-term sources of capital or the finance that a company needs to acquire the various resources or to get established into the market. So what would be the different kind of resources that they would be relying upon? So everything related to those sources of capital would be talking about in this lecture. So the topic is only and only long-term sources of finance, because there could be two types of sources, short-term as well as long-term. But here we would be focusing on the long-term sources of finance. So if we talk about the objective of this particular session, so after attending this session, after attending this lecture, you would get to know the takeaway would be the basic terminology and characteristics of the bonds, preference stock, and the common stock, which is the equity shares. We would be discussing the advantages and disadvantages, or the pros and cons of issuing, buying three different kinds of long-term securities that we would be talking about here: bonds, preference stock, and the equity stock. From both the perspective of the issuer, the one who is buying the security, and from the point of view of the investor. So we'll start with the most important, and we can say the most risky kind of security from which the company would be raising the long-term funds, long-term capital, long-term sources. So whenever we establish any company, or whenever the company is entering into the market, there would be in need of acquiring various resources like machines would be there, methods would be there, men would be there, all the resources they need to acquire. And for acquiring those resources, obviously we are in need of money. So that money would be the capital in the business. So raising that capital from the different sources of finance would be a topic. So the first security that they would be relying upon would be the equity shares. Now equity shares would be the common stock of the company. It's the part of ownership which is being transferred to the person who would be giving us capital against that, giving us money against that. So it's the part of ownership which is being transferred in the form of shares. So earlier it usually was in physical form. We used to give the certificate, share certificate. But now these days everything is decentralized. So it's in electronic form. So we'll start with the introduction of equity shares. These shares, also known as ordinary shares, preference shares would be known as preferred stock. But equity usually is being called the ordinary shares of the company. They represent the owner's capital of the company. So equity is being the real owners of the company. They are owning the company and taking the highest amount of the risk. So they would be treated at the end. They are basically owners of the company. As I've already mentioned, they would be giving the ownership rights to these shareholders. So they are the real owners of the company. The equity capital, the equity shares that we would be giving to the public, they can't be redeemed. They don't have any life span or any specific year which is attached as a life of this particular share. They would be there till the company is there into the market. So they would be redeemed at the end of everything, like when company is being liquidated. Only they would be thinking to pay back to equity shareholder if anything is left, because they are the owners of the company. So if the losses would be there, they would have to deal with the losses, and if the extra profit would be there, then obviously they would be enjoying those profits. So only at the time of liquidation of the company they would be treated. So like in accounting, we do have the principle like going entity concept. It means we are not defining the life of the business. So hence, in the same way, we can't define the life of equities. They would be there till the end of the company. So they are the most reliable kind of securities. The fourth is they are being paid dividend after payment to the preference shareholders. The name preferences means they would be getting preference over equity. So whatever they would be getting, it would be after paying to all others, like after paying interest to the debenture holders, or after paying dividend to the preference shareholders. Only at the end of everything they would be getting dividend. So now dividend is nothing but the part of profit which is being shared with the equity shareholder. It's the most risky security as against the preference shares, because they would be being treated at the end. Their amount of dividend is not fixed, unlike preference shares and the debentures, because they would be getting a fixed amount of interest also. But in equities case, nothing is fixed. So maybe you would be in extra benefit, or maybe you would have to incur, or you would have to absorb more losses. So would be talking about the basic characteristics of the equity shares, the features we can say of the equity shares. We'll start with the maturity. As I already mentioned, they don't have any lifespan. They would be there till the end of the company. So when the company would be liquidating, only then we would be thinking to pay them back. Otherwise, they would be there till the end of the company. So in equities, there is no maturity value, no lifespan would be there, and we can't predict after 10 years or 20 years that these shares would be converted into the cash or so on. So they don't have any kind of maturity value or the maturity term which is being attached. Claim on income would be something like, because they are the owners of the company, so they would have to deal with all kind of losses that the company is suffering from, or they would be enjoying the extra profit if company is enjoying the profit. So whatever the situation would be, because they are the owners, they would have to deal with that. So they don't have claim on income in like a straight way. First of all, you would have to cater all the parties, like you do have secured creditors, you do have creditors afterwards, then you do have loans to pay back, you do have debentures. Afterwards, the preference would come, and at the last, you would be thinking what you do have to pay to the equity. So directly, they don't have any claim on income. The third is claim on asset. They don't have. They would be working as in security with the debenture holders or the preference or the financial institution, whosoever is lending you the money. They would be working as in security, but as such, they don't have any security. They can't claim any kind of right on any asset of the company, because they are the most risky kind of shares. Then obviously they would be enjoying the extra benefit also, because we'd say higher the risk, higher would be the profit, lesser the risk, lesser would be the profit. The same principle is being applied on them, but unfortunately they don't have any kind of direct claim on the assets of the company or on the income of the company. Right to control would be there, because see, they are the owners of the company, so they can control the functions of the company. They do have the voting rights, and next point I will be talking about the voting rights. So in AGM, in annual general meeting of the company at the end of the financial year, when the company is closing down the balance sheet, they would be making every kind of financial statement that they need to put in front of the owners or in front of the board of directors, and that would happen in the annual general meeting. That is happening at the end of the financial year. So at that moment, when the company is appointing new directors, they would be taking so many resolutions. They would be thinking about so many new strategies or the policies to be implemented. And that moment, obviously, they would be asking the equity shareholders, because they are investing themselves into the company. They are putting up their hard-earned money into the company. So they can directly control the functioning of the company. Although the management would be there, would be managing everything, because they are the expert of that field. But they are also being appointed with the voting rights that is being exercised by the equity shareholder. The next would be after voting rights. We can also talk about that voting right would be as per the pro rata basis. Like if I do have 10% of the equity, then my weightage of vote would be 10%. If I do have 15% of the equity of the whole company, then obviously my weightage would be higher than the other person who is having 10% of equity share capital into the company. So that would depend how much ownership you do have in the company. The pre-emptive right, which is the next feature of the equity capital, would say like whenever the next time the company is in need of the capital, they would have to ask first of all the existing shareholders if they do have spare money to give as an extra capital to the company, and Only if they would not be paying, extra penny to the company, they can approach to the outsiders. So why it's happening? Why there is need to make the law that we need to give the rights to existing shareholders, because they are so much concerned with the ownership. They don't want anyone else to come and enjoy the profit. They don't want to share their ownership with anyone. So their ownership would not be diluted. They would be, there into the company, no other or the external person would be there, would be, having their ears in the company. Their voting rights also will not get, disturbed or diluted. So for these reasons, they would be given the preemptive right, means they would be given the preference over the other public if the company would be in need of extra capital. Then they do have limited liability. So whenever we say ABC Limited, XYZ Limited, it simply means the shareholders of those companies would be having the liability limited up to the amount of share. So let's say the amount of share is 100 rupees. So my liability in that company would be up to 100 rupees. They can't ask me for 101 rupees or 110 rupees. Not even 99 rupees. My liability would be up to 100 rupees only, because the value of the share is 100. So my liability would be limited, unlike in partnership or like any other venture. We have already done the features of equity shares. Now we will talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of equity shares. So first of all, we will talk about the advantages, the positive things related to the equity shares. The first thing is, it's like a permanent kind of capital to the company. So when we say the company would be a going concern concept, so we can see the company venturing into the market for longer tenure. So for that sake, to prove that assumption, we need to have the long-term funds. So that purpose would be solved by the equity capital only. They would be there permanently with the company. The second is, if you do have a strong equity base, the owners would be there with you. It means your credit worthiness is also good into the market. So whenever you would be approaching your suppliers, whenever you would be approaching the venture holders or the financial institutions for the loan purpose, they would see and they would assess how much capital you do have from the equities. So you can't rely upon the external capital only. You need to have the equity base that would work as the borrowing capacity of the firm. So it would work as a borrowing base of yours. The third amount is that there is no need to pay the fixed amount of dividend to them. So they are happy with that, whether you're paying them 5% of the dividend or the 10% or 0%. Even then, they can't challenge you. They don't have any voting right which can increase the amount of the dividend. So you would be relaxed at that time also, that there is no need to define the amount of dividend that is being paid to them. If we talk about the negative side of the equity shares, the first would be, because it's a very risky security, then obviously to overcome that risk, you need to give them higher amount of profit, because the rule is very simple. The one who is assuming the higher risk need to get the higher profit to compensate that risk. So obviously you need to pay them more. And from equity shareholders' point of view also, they would be assuming higher, amount of risk. They could deposit their money in FDs. They could put up their money into the debentures. They could see the preference shares, because they would be getting the preference over the equities and other securities. But because they have chosen the equities, then obviously it simply means that they are assuming more risk. So it's risky from both the point of views. It's a costly venture. It would be costly because it's risky. You obviously would have to pay higher amount of dividend as against the preference to equities. So it's a risky kind of security as well as it would be a costly. The third is earning dilution would be there, because obviously it would be giving you the capital for the longer tenure. And they are the real owners of the company. So if they are the real owners, they will be handling everything related, every function of the company. They do have peers in the functioning of the company. They can change the management. They can appoint new board of directors. So they do, they do control the company. in a very direct manner. So, with the increase in the equity base, the earning would be direct. The fourth is because they are the direct owner of the company, the ownership is there, then obviously they would be they would have hearsay in every function of the company that sometimes would be disturbing for the management of the company. So I was talking about the preemptive rights. The preemptive rights is nothing but the right which is being given to the equity shareholders, the existing shareholders of the company. So if you talk about the right issue of equity, it simply means selling of ordinary shares to the existing shareholders of the company. So whenever you are in need of new capital, it's your duty, it's the right which has been given to the equity shareholder that the company firstly would be approaching the existing shareholders, then only if they would be refusing, if they don't want to spare more capital to the company, then obviously they can approach the outsiders. But first of all, you would have to give this right to your existing shareholders. The law in India requires that the new ordinary shares must be first issued to existing shareholders on pro rata basis. Pro rata means whatever the ownership you do have in the company, according to the same, you would be getting the right. The weightage would be same. Like if you do have 10% of equity, then in new capital issuance, you would get 10% of preference. So it would be on pro rata basis. Let's say that another person who is having 20% of the existing capital, then obviously that person would get higher weightage as against you. So it would be on pro rata basis. Shareholders, through a special resolution, can forfeit the preemptive right. So because they do have the voting right, so they can alter the functioning of the company. If they don't want to avail this right, then they can forfeit the right by passing the resolution in the meeting. If we talk about the pros and cons of the right issue, the advantage would be that their control would be maintained, because no the other person would be coming into your firm and would be sharing the part of profit that earlier you would be enjoying. So now what's happening, if the existing shareholder could be giving the extra capital, it means no other owner would be entering into the company. So their control is being maintained, the control is there in their hands only. Flotation cost, the next point they are talking about is no flotation cost or lesser flotation cost. Flotation means whenever we are issuing the shares in the market, we have to cross from the various authorities. We have to fulfill so many formalities, and at every stage we need to incur the expenses, whether we are issuing new prospectus, or we are approaching to the SEBI, or we are going to the market, or we are approaching to the public, or we do expenses for advertising or for promoting that we are coming with the new issue, whatsoever it would be, that would result into the flotation cost. But imagine a situation, your existing shareholders are coming up and they are ready to give you the capital. So there is no need to approach to the outsiders. So the flotation cost would be quite lesser as against the new issue, or the issue which is being focusing on the new person. So the flotation cost would be lesser. If the cost is lesser, the profit would be higher, and that would be being shared with the equity shareholders only. So that is again the positive point. Issue more likely to be successful because you are not catering the new cluster of the public. You are just looking at the existing bunch of people who are already there being honored in your company. So these could be the possible advantages of issuing the right shares. And if we talk about the disadvantages or the negative side of the right issue, then sometimes it would happen that shareholders never get to know how to exercise their right, how to give the more capital to the existing company. They are not at all aware of. Then if shareholding concentrated in the hands of financial institutions, let's say one of the bank is holding 30% stake in my company, and then they would be giving 20% more capital. So 50%, it means they would be the half partner next time if they would be buying the shares of my company. So that would be a quite risky kind of venture. So I can't afford to give all the shares to one single company. So the chances would be next year they would be controlling. The very important kind of security that we usually talk about in terms of less risky and the more secure kind of security would be the debentures or the bonds. Debenture is nothing but it's a kind of acknowledgement of a debt. It's a document under the company's seal. This company is an artificial individual person, so they do have their seal, and which provides the payment of principal sum as well as the interest on at regular intervals, which is usually secured by a fixed or floating charge on the company's assets or the properties. So what exactly is happening? The company is issuing the security against that security, and it could be at discount price, at par price, or it could be at premium. But against that, the company is liable to pay interest at a fixed amount and at a fixed interval. After, let's say, if the life of debenture is 10 years or the 5 years, so after that time period, the company need to pay back their principal amount. The term that we are using in accounting is redeeming the security. So paying back principal amount after 5 years or the 10 years, whatever the life of the security would be, the redemption of the security. They are quite secured kind of creditors because they do have a charge against the property of the company. They do have the rights. If you won't be able to pay back their interest, they can sell your property and they can recover the amount of interest or the principal. So we'll talk about the features of the security debentures. The first is they would be getting fixed amount of interest. So whatever it would be, the 5%, the 10%, the 15%, whatever you have decided while issuing the security, the amount of interest you need to pay at any cost, whether you are in loss or you do have the profit, or maybe you do have extra profit, like you can share the extra profit with the equity shareholders. But in their case, you need to give the fixed amount of interest. The second would be they do have maturity value, like equity. They don't have any sort of maturity value. They would be there till the end of the company. But in debenture, it's like a loan only. They do have maturity value. They do have maturity time period. Let's say 10 years, 5 years, 8 years, whatsoever the time limit that you have decided after that particular time period, you need to pay back then your principal amount. The third is they would be getting redeemed. You need to pay back their principal amount after one particular time period. You don't have sinking fund account, so whatever the amount that you are paying to them within the form of interest or the amount that you are collecting to redeem them at the end of the maturity, that would be there in the sinking fund account that you would be maintaining in advance. You do have the option of buy back or the call provision. Let's suppose you need money for 10 years, but after 5 years you realize that you're sound enough that you can pay back this liability. So after 5 years, you can redeem the debentures. So what exactly you would be doing? You would be cutting down the liability, which would be there for 10 years. So for 5 years, you would be cutting down the liability in a direct sense. Second, you would also be saving the interest that you were liable to pay. So they do have the feature of buyback. Then indenture would be there, security would be there, and claim on asset would be there. So it's nothing but creating a charge or making them secure against the property of the company. So in any case, if we not be able to pay back their interest or we won't be sound enough financially, then they do have the option to drag us into the court. They can sue us, they can sell our assets, and they can recover their amount of money. So they're quite secured kind of security, unlike the equity shareholders. But the amount of interest that they would be getting would be quite lesser than the amount of dividend that they would be paying to the preference or to the equity. So if we talk about the different kinds of debentures, it could be non-convertible, which can't be converted into any other security. Non-convertible means the debenture that you are issuing would be exactly redeemed at the end of the life of that security. So let's say you are issuing debenture for 5 years. So first year you are issuing the debenture, and in fifth year you are just redeeming the debenture only. No change in the composition of the security would happen. The second is fully convertible debenture. So you are issuing debentures with a conversion feature. Let's say after 5 years you would be converting these debentures into the preference stock or maybe into the equity. So after 5 years, automatically it would be getting converted into the preference, or after 10 years it would be getting converted into the equity shares. So that again depends upon the consent of the debenture holders, whosoever is holding that security. We do have a feature of a partial convertible debentures, means let's say you're going for 10 units of debentures, 10 debentures you do have. 5 would be converted into preference and 5 would be converted into equity, or the 5 debentures would be converted into the preference and 5 would be redeemed as a debenture only. So partial conversion is also possible. So if the company can foresee and the company can make a plan accordingly as per their financial resources and their financial capacity, they can go with any kind of the type of debenture fund they do have as an option. We can also talk about the negative and positive side of debentures. So if we talk about the advantages to the company, the first is it's a very economical kind of security. It's not putting so much burden on the pocket of the company, so it's quite less costly. No ownership dilution would be there because they are just the creditors of the company. They are not the owners of the company. So no ownership dilution would be there. The fixed payment of interest is there. So the company is like quite prepared for that. Every time, every month or every year, they just need to pay the 10% of the interest. So they are quite sure about that. Unlike in equity, they never know what amount of dividend they need to spare. So for interest, they can plan each and everything in advance, and the amount of interest they would be paying would be quite lesser than the amount of dividend that they need to pay to the owners in the form of equity shares. It would reduce the real obligation because everything is already defined. Nothing is like they do have a fixed amount of interest to pay, they do have fixed amount of principal to pay. They know in what shape you would be redeeming the debentures, whether the fully convertible, whether the partial convertible, whether not at all convertible. So you can in advance plan everything. So it would be quite easy for you. If we talk about the disadvantages of the debentures, then the first thing is it's an obligatory kind of payment. Every year, whether you are in profit or you are in loss, you would have to pay them back. The amount of interest or their redemption value, you would have to pay at any cost. The second would be the financial risk would be there because the point is you need to spare the fixed amount of money every time, every year or every month, whatsoever the terms are. So maybe, but you can't define your financial position. So it's a risky kind of security. You do have your assets mortgaged with them. You have given so much of your property in the form of security to these credit holders. So obviously it's imposition of a financial risk on the company. The cash outflow would be happening because every time you are paying them the interest amount in the form of cash. So cash outflow is happening at every year, not every month, whatsoever the terms are. So your cash flow statement would also reflect that it's a permanent kind of burden. And if you don't have enough cash, then obviously you would be foregoing so many market opportunities. Your liquidity position would be at stake. You won't be able to pay your dividend to equity shareholders, and they won't be happy with you. But they're the real owners of the company, and so they're more important than the debentures. So you need to make the balance between the owners of the company and the debentures. So if we talk about the difference between debt and equity capital, so they said in both the cases you would be getting the money, you would be getting the capital, and you need to balance it up. You need to make the financial plans. But the basic difference is the first is equity is a owned capital. But debenture, they are the creditors of the company. Although you are owning them, but they would be the creditor of the company. They would be the outsiders. They won't be the owners of the company. To equity, you would be paying dividend, but to debenture holders, you would be paying the interest only. Debenture holders, because they're not the owners of the company, so they don't have the voting right also. But the equities, because they're the owners of the company, so they do have voting right. You can't redeem the equity capital because they would be there till the end of the company. But you need to redeem the debentures who are the creditors of the company. They get the preference of the payment when the point of their interest payment would come. But the equity would be being catered at the end only. After paying the outsiders, after paying the preference, only then, if anything is left, they would be being catered. So this is the basic difference between equities and the debentures. The last security that we would be talking about is a preference share capital. It's a hybrid kind of security. They do have features of debenture as well as of equity. Because they would be getting the amount of dividend like the equities, but they would be getting the fixed amount of dividend like debenture holders. They are getting the fixed amount of interest. So, the features of the preference would be that they would be getting the dividend, and they do have the option of being liquidated, but they would be being liquidated before the equities and after the debenture. So there is a repayment of capital at the time of liquidation would be there, but they do get the preference over the equity. So if we talk about the similarity of preference with the ordinary shares, the first is non-payment of dividend doesn't force company to insolvency like in debentures. You would have to pay their interest at any cost, but in their case, if you won't be able to pay them their dividend, then you can pay the same amount of dividend in the next year if the company would have incapacity to pay the same. Dividends are not deductible for the tax purpose. It simply means that after paying tax to the government, after paying the corporate tax, you need to pay the amount of dividend to the preference. Like before paying tax to the government, we need to deduct the amount of interest. So interest is somewhere tax deductible expense, but the dividend whatsoever, whether to the preference or to the equity, it's not tax deductible expense. In some cases, it has a no fixed maturity period, so it's like a equity shares only in this case. So we talk about similarity to debenture because I've already mentioned this is a hybrid type of security. They do have similarities with the equities and they also have similarities with the debentures. So dividend rate is fixed, like the amount of interest is fixed in the debentures. They don't share any residual earning, means after paying their amount or their proportion in the form of dividend, if anything extra is left, that is not being shared by the company to them. So they don't have any right to share that profit, that amount of profit, like debentures don't have right. Usually, they don't have the voting rights because the equities, they are the real owners of the company, so they can control the function of the company. But preference, they are not the real owners of the company and they are being tempered by giving the preference over the equities and they would enjoy the benefit which is being given to the debenture. So, they would be giving in kind of voting rights. So if we talk about the features of preference share, the first is that their maturity value would be defined. Sometimes it's not defined. So if they would be being retained, then that would be before the equity. So generally at time of liquidation only would be thinking about retaining the preference shares. They don't have any claim on the income or the assets of the company because no security is being given to them, like the securities being given to debentures. The fixed amount of dividend is being paid, like to equities, there is no need to fix up the amount of dividend. They could be getting the extra amount of the dividend, or maybe in some years they won't be able to get even a single penny in the form of dividend. So in case of preference, they would be getting the same amount of dividend. So in advance, they can plan their expenses because they know that this much of the fixed amount of dividend that would be getting. Cumulative dividend means, like say, in 1 year the company is not being able to pay their dividend, then in the next year they would be paying the dividend of both the years. So it's a cumulative thing. They would have the redemption value, they can be redeemed, but only at the time of liquidation. They don't have the call feature, we can convert preference into equity also, or we can buy back these shares if we really want to reduce the liability. Because again, it's the part of long-term liability. So company can think about this feature. They do have voting rights, but that would be quite limited. They can't enjoy the voting rights like the equities would be enjoying. And the convertibility option could be there. They can be converted into the equity. If we talk about the negative and the positive side of preference, the advantage from the company's point of view would be it's a less risky and leverage kind of security because they need to plan up their expenses because they would be paying the same amount of dividend. So they can plan in advance. Leverage is nothing but blending up the equity with the fixed interest bearing security. So if you would be blending up equity with the preference, it means same amount of dividend you need to spare for the preference every year. So again, it's a leverage kind of situation for the company. Dividend you can postpone because if right now you are not in position to spare the dividend for the preference, you do have convertibility feature. You can pay the same amount of dividend in the coming years. Fixed amount of dividend is there, so fixed liability is there. Then the limited voting rights would make you able to function in more liberal way because the equities they are already dominating you. So other than equity, no one else is there who can actually do have hearsay in the functions of the company. If we talk about the negative side, they said because you can't get any advantage in the form of taxes, it's non-deductible. Like debentures, if you are paying interest to them, it's a tax deductible expense. So you would be foregoing with this benefit. Then you need to be committed to pay the dividend, not in this year, the next year, not next year, then after that, but you have to pay the dividend because they do change the fixed amount of dividend. So if we talk about the advantages from their point of view, whosoever is holding the preference share, they would be getting the fixed amount of income, their dividend is fixed. They do have the preferential right, so the name indicates preference, so they would be getting the preference over the equity. They don't have preferential rights, they will be paid before the equity is being paid. And sometimes they also enjoy voting rights. So those voting rights we can actually let them to amend the function which is exactly going to change their composition or can directly affect their income and so on. And if we talk about the disadvantages for them, then the no charge on the asset of the company, so they are not at all secure like the debentures are. They don't have voting rights in the hearsay of the company. They can control the whole function of the company. And their rate of dividend is quite lower than the rate of dividend which is being given to the equity shares. The last is the term loans, the long-term loans that would be raising from the market. The features would be that you can have the loan for 5 to 10 years or for 15 years rather than raising everything from the equity or the preference which we can't redeem very easily. Their maturity would be higher. Then direct negotiations can be there. You can, because they are quite secure, so you can decrease the amount of interest and you can reduce burden on your books of accounts also. They are secure, so obviously you would have to create the security. From their point of view, it's quite good feature because they would be secure. So these would be the basic, the asset related, liability related, cash flow related, control related covenants would be the basic features that you can have without loans. They do have the feature of convertibility and repayment can be scheduled as per your own financial needs. So At the end, we'll be talking about what would be the factors that would affect the choice of the kind of securities that would be going. So, other than that, there would be possibly number of things like what kind of business you do, how, what kind of industry you are the part of, what would be your requirements. Are you a new company, or you're the old company, or you are a mature company? What kind of the people would be there who are associated with you? What kind of idea you do have? Let's say you're the new firm and it would be a risky venture. So obviously you can't expect many old people or the retired people or very rational people to come forward and would invest in your company. You would be focusing on the younger generation who would be taking out the risk by investing into your kind of firm. So number of factors would be you need to see what the circumstances are, what kind of company that you are running, what kind of economy that you are in, what are the economic conditions, everything contributes a lot while choosing any kind of security for the long run. So that's all for today. In next lecture, we would be talking about the short-term sources of finance. So what we have done would be summing it up. We have talked about the equity shares. We have also talked about the preference capital. We have talked about the long-term loans and the debentures. So all these securities are quite beneficial, and that would give the longer financial stability to the firm. That's all for today. Thank you. Good luck.